This is the Vaguely Nerdy Podcast, where every week this brother-sister duo gets together to discuss the box office, latest film and TV scoops, along with our latest movie or show review, and what we're getting into next. We are your host,
Cheryl.
And Jay.
All right, so before we even get into trivia today, last episode, we were like, we're either going to come in here real sad or real happy because today was Comic-Con open registration day. And news, we going!
Yay!
Woo! This will be our first Comic-Con. We had 6 laptops, multiple
24 browsers.
Multiple browsers on each laptop. We had 2 iPads and a phone.
Sorry if we were keeping you out of queue.
Listen, once we was done, we was closing all the other things.
So we had to
let people through. But yes, we were going to Comic-Con in July. So exciting. How you feel?
Good. I already have expectations.
All right. We got to think of costumes.
Yeah, we had to think of costumes.
Cosplay.
I think I'm going to dress up for something every day.
Okay. We're going Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Those are the days we picked. Mm-hmm. So I think Deadpool and Comic-Con are the same weekend.
The movie Deadpool 3? Oh, wow. So we're going to be at Comic-Con all day and seeing Deadpool and recording.
There's no way we cannot not see Deadpool opening weekend.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take a couple of days off coming back.
And going. It's going to be like a week long, so save up our PCO. Yeah. All right. Okay,
back to our regularly scheduled program. Cheryl has the movie trivia this week, so roll it.
We watched the Hunger Games prequel, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Trivia for today is pretty simple, but we'll see who you come up with. Who else was considered for the role of Tigress Snow? So Tigress plays Snow's cousin in this movie.
Who else was considered for the role of Tigress?
You want me to dwindle it down, or you just want to take some stabs at it?
Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
No. Oh, she would have been too old, right, to play like a teenager.
Oh, okay. So somebody around the same age range.
Had to be, because in the movie I think Snow is like 18 because they're in school. They're like high school. Yeah.
They're pre-university. Okay.
Correct. So younger, but Hollywood, you can play a teenager when you're 30.
I don't know none of these young actors.
So
Sydney Sweeney?
Okay, I didn't even have to give you a clue. Yeah.
Some
of the other people considered were Anya Taylor-Joy, which makes sense.
She's too expensive.
You think so?
She's Furiosa. She's in The Menu. She had that hit Netflix show about the girl who plays chess. She's
Queen's
everywhere.
Gambit.
Yeah.
Okay.
She actually works.
Maya Hawke.
She's with Netflix, so she's not expensive.
Sophie Turner. She could have done it. I feel like she might have been too popular as well.
I feel like it would have been a step back for her. Yeah.
Okay.
You can't go from Jean Grey to being a B character in somebody else's movie.
Sadie
Sink would be too... Well, I guess Sadie Sink could do it.
Okay.
She's from Stranger Things and The Whale. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I lost my list.
Sadie Sink would be too short, though.
Other people considered were Florence Pugh and Emma Watson.
Florence Pugh is way too expensive. Emma Watson could have did it.
And I feel like this might have been too much of a side role for Florence Pugh at this point.
Yeah, them trying to get Anya Taylor-Joy and Florence Pugh was a big reach.
Listen, reach for the stars.
Maybe they just meant like, we're considering people like these actors because we cannot acquire these actors.
Maybe, but those are all the people that were in consideration. But I think the Hunter, I don't know, Schaefer is the person who actually plays her in the movie. She's pretty good. She did a really good job. I don't think I recognize her from anything else. She's in Euphoria.
Yeah, which makes sense with the Sydney Sweeney pool because most of the young actors today are all in Euphoria.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. She was good though in this. Cool. All right, well, let's get into our episode.
Welcome, fellow movie buffs. I'm Jay.
I'm Cheryl.
Listen in as we break down movie and TV shows, tell you what's in the plot, and hear if we think you should have watched it when you had the chance.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, so we have an agenda, but I don't think it's going to be as long of an episode.
Okay.
But we have an agenda like we usually do, so I'll run down it really quickly.
Okay.
First and foremost, weekly, we have our trailers that we're going to cover. We have a couple trailers to cover, like Rebel Moon, Garfield. There's a lot of comic book related trailers that have come out this week. And we've got some independent films and some Magic Black movies.
There's a lot of the variety of trailers this week is vast.
Casting rumors. We have some thoughts about the unofficial casting of some Fantastic Four cast members that have been announced. Mm-hmm. Some official Superman Legacy casting news. Also, we have some news about production on some movies that are taking place behind the scenes with Denzel Washington at Netflix. And we have some movie schedule news. A little bit of, is Kang Dynasty going to happen? Is Kang Dynasty not going to happen?
Who knows?
And who's going to make it?
Oh, well, that part.
And at the end of the episode, we'll have our movie review, which is Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Sweet. So, first movie trailer that we got this week actually came out Sunday, I want to say. I think it was Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Sunday during the game.
Rebel Moon Part 1, which is going to well, that's not true. They're releasing it in theaters, I think, next week, and then it officially comes to Netflix December 22nd.
Which I would like to say I called like a couple episodes ago. I was like, he's going to wait. I said with this whole wave of people saying that they're going to put a movie on streaming, then announcing like a month out that they're going to put it in theaters. It's very limited
though. It's only going to be in like 4 major cities. And I might have said it's coming out next week. I think it's going to theaters the week before it comes to Netflix.
Zack Snyder doesn't have the ego that will allow him to only release something on streaming platforms.
Don't leave us a negative review for that.
Nowadays. I mean, that zombie movie was like a one-off because Justice League was received so poorly. But yeah,
I didn't see that. Won't be seeing that. So what do you think about the trailer?
The trailer basically shows so let's go over the cast really quick. So Sophia Boutella.
Okay. Is she from anything else that I would know?
Kingsman, the Mummy remake with Tom Cruise.
Oh, that's her. She's
she plays
on the Moon.
No, Knocks on the Moon is not in
I know. It was a joke.
She plays the gender bent Hemotep. I think they gave her a different name.
Okay.
In that one, I think she was a different mummy.
Oh, but this is her. Okay. Yeah. I'm here.
So she doesn't have a lot of like acting roles, especially for like blockbuster films.
Okay.
But she plays what I assume is a retired military officer. She's like the Finn of Star Wars. She's an ex-stormtrooper who's living on like a colony moon that's non-militant, and it seems like I'm going to use Star Wars terms because this is what this is. Mm-hmm. The Galactic Republic shows up to take control of the moon, and she fights off the soldiers that they send. She's like, "Hey, we all have to like."
Is that what's happening in this?
We have to pull ourselves together. She's the Rey Skywalker who's like, we have to pull ourselves together and actually fight the Republic. We don't have to conform and let them take control of us.
I'm going to let you keep going with the casting, but this trailer, I was like, I'm not sure what's happening with any of these people.
And that's just par for the course for Zack Snyder movie trailers.
Okay.
But Sophia Boutella.
It was a lot, and then I was like, I still don't know what's happening.
Sophia Boutella plays the main character. Charlie Hunnam plays so it's kind of like a get the gang together movie. Except they don't know each other already. She's going to different places. I assume they're different planets or different parts of this moon.
Guardians of the Galaxy?
I'm not sure if she's traveling to different planets or just different parts of this moon.
Okay.
But she's going around and recruiting all of these different people with all of these unique sets of skills to form this suicide squad to take...
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, the Guardians of the Moon.
Okay.
To take down this galactic
Darth
republic.
Vader. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I assume there's a Darth Vader figure in the background, but Ed Skrein, who is from Transporter movies, and he was the bad guy in the first Deadpool. The one who gave Deadpool the procedure that turned him into Deadpool. I have to watch it again. He is the villain in this movie, but it seems like he's more of like a number 2.
Okay.
I think
not head honcho. He's not Palpatine.
Yeah, the way the trailer plays, it seems like that there's somebody who pulls his strings behind him. But it's Star Wars. It's Suicide Squad.
I mean, he said it was like Star Wars, so now it's hard to separate the two. To be honest with you,
I did initially when the teaser came out and we were reading like the synopsis of the show. I was like, oh, okay, it's Star Wars and Dune-ish. Seeing the trailer, I'm removing the Dune.
I would leave the Dune in.
You know what? I think Dune is made too good. The
Oh,
production
compared to-
value of Dune is like
Oh yeah, but Dune 1 for me was very beautiful gowns though.
this doesn't even have that though.
It looks okay.
It looks like it has Rogue One levels of costume design.
Okay.
It does not have Rogue One levels of cinematography or
Yeah.
CGI.
It might have the Rogue One story though.
Probably the Rogue One story. I mean, they're probably all gonna die at the end of this.
Oh well, nah. We got a whole part 2, sir.
Yeah, at the end of this.
Oh, at the end. Of both parts.
That's why I
Okay.
said she puts together a Suicide Squad.
Okay.
A lot of them are probably gonna die, but I'm removing the Dune part from the comparison because I feel like Dune. After looking back at Dune, I feel like Dune has way too much production value and star power in it to be like, oh, this is like Dune, because this is
like,
not.
okay.
This is like comparing apples to oranges.
Well, it is coming out the same week as Aquaman, but it's also a holiday week, so I feel like they think that'll be okay.
And because it wasn't initially supposed to come out,
you're right,
in
it wasn't
theaters,
supposed to
I
go
don't
to
think
theaters.
they care.
Right. So we're gonna watch it because we can't talk about it if we don't watch it.
Right.
So we're actually gonna have a combo episode, another one with Aquaman and this movie. So stay tuned.
Yeah. Next trailer we got Garfield. You want to do this one?
Do I okay. I know of Garfield. I know what Garfield is, who he is, his backstory. But I don't know if I tuned into Garfield like that when I was younger. So I was like, why are we making a Garfield movie? And who's the target audience?
So I'll read you the synopsis.
Okay.
So Garfield, the world famous Monday hating lasagna loving indoor cat,
I did remember he loves lasagna.
is about to have a wild outdoor adventure after an unexpected reunion with his long lost father, scruffy street cat Vic.
Okay.
Garfield and his canine friend Odie are forced from their perfectly pampered life into joining Vic in a hilarious high stakes heist.
Kids will probably love it. I mean, why not? It doesn't look like a kid's movie. That's not true. It looks like a movie that they're trying to. It was like a Shrek. There it is, where it's a kid's movie, but it's got that adult kind of undertone to it.
Yeah,
I think that's what they're going for. But voice acting wise, Chris Pratt once again has found himself an IP to stick to. He's doing Garfield.
He doesn't sound bad.
I don't know what Garfield's supposed to sound like, so sure.
The original Garfield was voiced by.
Oh, do I remember? If you say the name, I don't know if I'm going to remember what he sounds like.
You want to guess? It's a big actor who's known for like
Peter Cullen. No.
Oh. He's known for like family genre films. Comedian and actor.
Comedian and actor that's known for family genre films.
Older than Harrison Ford.
Ooh, he's older. Go ahead. I'm not gonna guess.
Bill Murray.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's not the most recent Garfield voice, but he's like the one he's like the iconic Garfield voice.
Okay, so now I kind of see why didn't they just have Bill Murray do it?
I don't know. Maybe it's the James Earl Jones thing where you can hear the age in the voice now.
Oh,
so
fair enough.
It wouldn't.
Fair
people would
enough.
just compare it to what it used to sound like.
Chris Pratt doesn't sound like Mario. I give him that. Like, he sounds like a grown cat and not a little kitten.
He sounds much closer to Garfield than he did Mario.
Okay,
but
really, you think so? Okay.
Absolutely, because Mario's Italian.
You're right.
He didn't even fake an accent. He tried to do like a Brooklyn accent or whatever. But anyway, going down the cast list, Chris Pratt voices Garfield. I'm not going to tell you guys who Chris Pratt is because you can't turn any of the cardinal directions without seeing an advertisement for something that he's in.
Or you've seen something that he's in, unless you've avoided all major blockbusters in the last 5 years.
Odie, the dog, is played by Javier Harvey. I'm going to try to pronounce this correctly. Guillen or Guillen.
Not familiar.
He does a lot of voice work. He's like a comedian actor.
Okay.
He's from What We Do in the Shadows, which you have not watched. It's on FX.
I've heard of it though.
He's done voice work on the Harley Quinn show.
Okay. So he's a good voice actor.
And have you seen Puss in Boots?
No, but I want to. I tried to watch it one day and was not successful.
He voices one of the characters in Puss in Boots.
I do want to watch Puss in Boots though.
Samuel L. Jackson, of course, plays Vic, Garfield's father.
You can tell.
Ving Rhames, Nicholas Hoult, and Bowen Yang are also in this film.
Okay.
But their roles are not yet disclosed.
I like Ving Rhames when he does voice casting or voice acting. He's got a very distinct voice. So he's a very good voice actor.
I'm going to assume either Ving Rhames or Nicholas Hoult are playing the villain.
Probably Ving Rhames.
Yeah, because I mean they're the only two other names.
Man.
Or Samuel Jackson is going to moonlight as a
As
secondary villain because
as
he's like
his
the deadbeat.
dad.
He basically plays the deadbeat dad who comes back to get his son to help him with a heist.
Nah, I feel like Samuel Jackson's probably gonna be good. Well, like the dad who's down on his luck and abandoned his kitten because of whatever.
This movie comes out on May the 24th, 2024, and you put a note next to it.
Oh, yes, it's the same. So it's a summer, they're trying to do a summer blockbuster with it. However, this movie comes out the same day as the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and the next Mad Max movie, the prequel, Furiosa.
Yes.
Why do all three of these movies come out on the same gosh darn day?
I don't know because
one of them has to move. Has to, because there's too much of an overlap between Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and Furiosa.
I feel like
Got to be the same audience.
Out of the three of those movies, Garfield, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Furiosa, which one do you think is going to make the most money? Who's going to do the best opening weekend? So Garfield, we just went over the cast for Garfield.
Okay.
I'll look up the cast for Kingdom.
Not Kingdom of the Planet. Don't bother. Not Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. It's gonna be either Furiosa or Garfield.
So Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes absolutely won't be on top because if you look at the box office history of those movies, it's downward. It's always been downward. They don't have
like a big name to draw people into that either.
They don't have a big name.
It looks fine though. Like it looks like a.
I think Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is to get people back on the bandwagon more than it is to like be $1 billion movie. So I think they're planning to like they're rebooting the Planet of the Apes franchise basically from this point. I think it's lower than you would expect.
Okay.
But I also think it's going to be Furiosa.
Yes. Yeah.
Mad Max the last Mad Max was so good. Mm-hmm. It set up the world really good. And this one has Chris Hemsworth and Anya Taylor-Joy. And
I'm trying to find a director. Oh, the guy who did the last one, George Miller.
Yeah.
Okay.
And George Miller. So
yeah, it's probably going to do better that weekend. I just can't believe they're going to keep them all together.
Do you think they're going to move any of them? They're going to move Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
You think so?
I absolutely think so. I think that they know that Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is not going to do well in the box office against. I don't know. Just move it away.
Move it away.
Move it to a different weekend at least.
Anywhere but here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope they move one because there's no way we're gonna see both of. I don't think we're going to see Garfield.
No, it
either be the Apes movie or the Furiosa movie. We will have to pick if they both come out the same weekend. And I feel like Furiosa would be, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. Next movie on the list, Madam Web.
Child. Now let me just put a disclaimer. I'm not going to bash this movie because I did not like people bashing the Marvels. And I don't want to be the one to like bash the all-female led movie. But Lord gee, what a trailer. You didn't even watch it until we went to see the movie.
Yeah, when the news broke that the trailer dropped, I looked at it with the sound off and said, "This looks awful."
You didn't even listen to it.
So It doesn't look great. It looks like they smear Vaseline on the lens. So basically, let's go over the cast list first.
There we go.
Okay.
And maybe we should do a synopsis. If you don't know what Madam Web is, and you might have to correct me. Madam Web is a character who is actually older in the comics, right? She's an old lady. She's an older lady. I mean, they show her in the comics. She looks like 60, 70 years old. Mm-hmm. This is her younger self because she's only, I don't know how old these actresses are.
So younger. So basically, because this will make more sense to you now because we've wrapped up Loki. So Madam Web is basically the keeper of the Spider-Man timeline multiverse. Just like Loki sits in the chair at the end of time and watches over the timelines. Mm-hmm. That's what Madam Web is, but just for the Spider-Man section of the multiverse.
Okay.
So she sits in a chair. Mm-hmm. She's paralyzed, I believe.
And she's blind, it looks like.
Mm-hmm. She's blind. She sits in a chair. And she's psychic though. Mm-hmm. So she doesn't have to see. But she just sits there and watches over the timelines and makes sure there's no incursions or anything. Okay. But eventually they were like, well, we actually want to use this character, so let's kill her and then reincarnate her and make her younger. And that's where this
that comes from.
Yes.
Okay.
So
you read off the cast list, I guess.
This movie stars Dakota Johnson, who is known from the 50 Shades of Grey movies.
Didn't see those.
She's also the child of Melanie. Which one is married to Antonio Banderas? Melanie Griffin.
Oh.
Yes, she's Melanie Griffith's daughter.
Nipple,
yes.
Okay, keep going.
Dakota Johnson. Sydney Sweeney plays Julia Carpenter, who is the first Spider-Woman to ever be introduced in the comic books.
Okay. I haven't seen anything she's ever been in.
Sidebar: Julia Carpenter Spider-Woman appeared in. She's the first Spider-Woman to appear in Marvel Comics, and she appeared in the Secret Wars. She appeared in Secret Wars. That was her first appearance.
Which makes a rumor I heard. Keep going.
Yeah, they're not doing that.
Keep going.
Everybody else on this cast list is relatively unknown. We have Celeste O'Connor, Isabella Merced, and Tahar Rahim. Isabella Merced is an interesting name. Do you know what else she's going to be in?
Isabella, say the name again.
Isabella Merced.
That's her character's name.
That's the name of the actress.
Oh, name of the.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, I have no idea.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
She's going to be playing a different superhero.
Oh, is she going to be in DC? Superman Legacy?
Mm-hmm. She's going to be playing Hawk Girl.
50,000 people in that movie, but we'll get to that. Go ahead.
So I believe she's going to be playing Hawk Girl.
Oh, you forgot about Ben. Ben's in here.
Ben from Parks and Recreation is in here as well.
He's also Ben in this movie. He's Ben Parker in this movie.
But
I can't think of his real name right now.
So additionally to this cast list, and this is via Wikipedia.
Yeah.
So it says, additionally, Mike Epps, Emma Roberts, Adam Scott, and Zosia Mamet are in undisclosed roles in this film. Mike Epps, Emma Roberts, and Adam Scott. Which is strange because it says that these actors are in additional undisclosed roles. You have your stars in the undisclosed additional roles of the section, and you have this movie. You have Emma Roberts rumored to be in this movie.
Well, she's supposed to be so I thought the premise of the movie seems to be that Madam Web, whatever her real name is, can see the future, and she can see this one particular character who I don't
Ezekiel
remember.
Sims, who's a villain from Spider-Man comic books.
This Spider-Man villain is trying to kill them to prevent them from becoming Spider-Women in the future. I think that's what the premise is. And then I think the Parkers are in this movie because he's also trying to stop Peter Parker from being born. I don't know.
I'm not sure. The villain angle is weird because the villain Ezekiel Sims is in the movie, he's a straight up like murdering villain. In the comics, he's kind of like an anti-hero that kind of just becomes like a helper to good guys without directly being a good guy.
So Venom.
But yeah, I guess she's clairvoyant with spider powers. They don't really explain how she gets her spider powers in this movie, but she's clairvoyant and she's tasked herself to go around to save these alternate versions of Spider Women from being murdered.
In the same universe.
But we don't have an answer as to why these people matter.
I mean, it's only the first trailer, so I guess they didn't. Although it shows a lot, it's almost 3 minutes long. I'm not hopeful.
This is one of the worst trailers I've ever seen. The lens, the whole trailer, the whole film looks like it's shot with like a camera that has Vaseline on it. Like a smoothing effect filter has been applied to everybody.
People said this was like trying to channel Sam Raimi Spider-Man. I was like,
no, because even Sam Raimi Spider-Man has like a place in film. This doesn't. This has a place.
No.
I've seen a lot of people take screen grabs of this trailer and put the CW logo in the bottom right corner, and it fits. The lighting is really bad.
The line delivery is
the
very
ADR
CW.
is really bad. I think when this trailer dropped, I said it looks like Dakota Johnson is giving her best Jennifer Lawrence Mystique impression, because you could tell Jennifer Lawrence did not want to be in those movies.
I feel like she wants to be her though, and she just.
I feel like she doesn't.
The line delivery wasn't great. It does. I don't know about this one.
Either way, the movie's not going to make any money unless they have Jared Leto cameo as Morbius in the end credit scene.
Money either.
So
here's the funny thing: I was crying about how we only get one Marvel. Let me be specific here. One MCU movie next year. We are getting 3 or 4 Sony superhero movies next year.
24 is the year of Spum.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Everybody, because most people are probably not deciphering Sony and Marvel. They're just saying in association with Marvel, and everybody's like, "Oh, this is a Marvel movie." No, y'all, this is different, and they gonna further taint the Marvel brand that they trying to build back up.
Yeah, I don't have a problem trashing this movie because the Marvels is having a bad enough time.
You're right, and it was a great movie.
Sony could have held on to this for a couple months.
They could have just made
because
a better
everybody's
movie.
kind of bundling this with the MCU,
comparison.
and it's not the same thing at all.
My thing is Sony is partially responsible for Spider-Verse movies, so I don't understand why that doesn't translate into their other Spider-Man movies.
Because I don't think the Sony Pictures universe of Marvel films, I don't think they meet. I think Sony just assigns properties to whoever.
That would explain it.
I don't think they have like a vision board.
That's why I was like, people trying to come for Kevin Feige, like he need to let it go. Like somebody is obviously over there helping him with Spider-Man because there's a very stark difference of Sony movies and Sony Marvel movies.
And there's a rumor out that Spider-Man 4 is supposed to connect to the Spum universe, but the Spum universe doesn't even connect to each other. So that's not going to happen.
That's what I was earlier.
They haven't even created the threads over there to hold themselves together. So there's no way that Tom Holland Spider-Man is supposed to end. Maybe Venom, because that's the only thing it's kind of already touched on. But the rest of this, nobody's going to watch this movie.
Listen. If you want a Valentine's Day next year, go see Madam Web.
Nobody went to see 50 Shades of Grey, and the cast was mostly naked through all of those. So
it had a large fan base.
So there's nobody casted in here more people are here to see Ben and Mike Epps and Emma. And you have, I said we're not going to take forever on this episode, but my last question was, you have Emma Roberts casted in an additional undisclosed role, and you have Dakota Johnson leading the film. One of these things is not like the other.
About to be.
So
because they all about to be lumped together.
Good luck. I will let the listeners tell us how this movie was.
Are we not seeing this?
No, we are not. On to better things. What If Season 2? This is a Season 2 of the Marvel anthology. Well, it's an animated TV series based on the series of Marvel comics that were anthology comics about basically taking a storyline that you know from the MCU or Marvel and changing like one or two things and showing you how that would have affected the long-term outcome.
Yeah, they say that it gives the creators behind the scenes a chance to play around and put to life some of the other storylines that don't make it into the movies. Yeah. And then some storylines are just like totally outrageous, but it would be fun to see in action.
So DC has Elseworlds. They call them Elseworlds stories. That's where the evil Superman stories and stuff take place, or evil Batmans. And the Marvel calls them What Ifs. Yeah.
The last season it's all animated. Last season was good. There were a couple favorites in there, but this season is coming around Christmas. There's 9 episodes, and they're releasing 1 episode a day. Starting December 20th. And I was like, y'all had 12 days of Christmas right there. But I understand.
They didn't have 12 ideas.
Well, I was about to say, I understand not just pushing out 3 extra episodes just because.
I think that shows progress in learning.
You're
instead
right.
of
I was like, 12
pushing
days
out
of Christmas
the 3.
is just would have been such a nice little branding push, but I get it.
So this is a little more exciting. We watched What If Season 1 when the episodes dropped, and it was 1 episode per week. And it was still a really good show. I really enjoyed all the episodes, but it didn't get a lot of social media traction.
No.
I don't think the episodes were heavy enough to people they didn't have the WandaVision or Loki effect where people discuss them all the way up until the next episode.
Right, because What If is just more fun. Like you don't have to watch What If at all to get the rest of the MCU. It's literally just kind of fun, cool storylines that they kind of created.
That they don't ever have to go back to or tie
or ever
into.
reference or anything. So I think that also might be why people didn't like make a bunch of content around it, because it doesn't really connect because it's not supposed to.
Yeah, this is the closest to Saturday morning cartoons that MCU gets.
That's a good comparison.
And this season, it's going to be 9 episodes released consecutively. I think that's smart. It helps with the SEO and the discussion around each episode.
You can just watch them all, and they're probably pretty short, like half an hour or so.
Yeah, and it makes them an event. I wonder if they're going to drop at a certain time, though, each episode.
You're right.
That'd be interesting. Like, I don't think they should hold them for like a 9 p.m. drop.
No,
like
because I
they
think
did
these are more geared towards also younger kids.
And
as
these
well.
things are usually like 20, 25 minute long.
They're not
episodes.
super hour long episodes.
So excited about this. Excited about the voice cast.
They got a lot of the original actors back.
It looks like this season is going to have just a mashup of episodes about different characters fighting each other in various ways.
It does look like more because the first season we had like Tony and Killmonger, but we didn't have a lot of, every episode wasn't two characters fighting each other unless the one zombie episode, but they couldn't help it, they were zombies. This one looks more like you said, we get more mashups of Civil War basically between the two groups of superheroes. We
get some team ups between some of the older variants of the Avengers, like King T'Chaka and Hank Pym.
Yep.
So that's
I think the other person in that clip is Marvel.
So we have OG Captain Marvel, we have OG Black Panther, we have OG Ant-Man, we have Agent Carter.
I don't know who the kid is though.
He looks very familiar. He looks like Star-Lord.
Oh.
He looks like Peter Quill when he was young, right before he ran away and got abducted. He looks like the little boy and he's dressed in the same clothes. So maybe it's like,
what if Peter Quill had powers or something?
Yeah.
Because the kid is psychic or something.
And it looks like they're trying to stop the kid. It looks like the kid is the threat.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It looks cool though. I'm
interested in seeing that. Next film, The American Society of Magical Negroes. Now, this was a surprise teaser
this came out
dropped.
Of left field, not a full trailer.
Yeah, a surprise teaser that dropped earlier this week. And it's such a surprise that this doesn't even have a wiki or anything.
All the only got was information like a 30-second clip.
And was it 30?
Promo?
Yeah.
It was quick. We got to see Justice Smith, who is the lead, it looks like. David Allen Greer. There's a couple other people that they show super quick. And, we get one quick line or joke, and then we get the day it comes out.
So we have David Allen Greer, we have Justice Smith, and we also have Nicole Byer is listed on the cast of this. Cool. And the synopsis of the movie is, it's a fresh satirical comedy about a young man, Aaron, who's played by Justice Smith, who is recruited into a secret society of magical black people who dedicate their lives to a cause of utmost importance, making white people's lives easier. So
if you don't know, Magical Negroes is the trope.
Yes.
Where the magical Negro is basically there to save everybody else. So they've turned it into a
make
satire.
The white characters' lives better in films. A good example of a magical Negro would be The Help.
Okay.
Viola Davis and Octavia Spencer were considered the magical Negroes in that movie.
Yeah, so it look, even though the little promo was only like 20 seconds, it looks funny.
Yeah,
I looks like funny. Justice Smith from Dungeons and Dragons, so I'm looking forward to this.
It looks like a mix between the Incredible Beast, Fantastic Beast side of Hogwarts.
Okay.
And John Wick. Not with the action, but it looks like it has the John Wick-esque elements of like the secret society, like the high table. It seems like David Allen Greer is part of this like magical high table where they recruit people.
Okay.
And
so maybe a little Kingsman sprinkled on top, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've always wanted like an adult version of like the Wizarding World. And I thought I was going to get that with Fantastic Beasts, but
That's
Fantastic
why they should have made a show out of the Ministry of Magic, but
Fantastic Beasts kind of fell flat.
Yeah, quite a bit.
With the whole switching the storyline to
they tried it.
The wizard Nazi angle.
Didn't go well.
But this looks good. I'm excited. David Allen Greer is hilarious in everything he's in. Justice Smith is funny. He's a great comedic actor, and Nicole Byer's freaking hilarious.
Yeah. So this comes out March 2024. So next year on the 22nd. I think March is pretty packed next year too. Speaking of being packed, and in March, the last trailer we have to talk about is Imaginary, which is a horror movie. And the trailer is it was good because I am, as you guys know, not a big horror fan. I watched it. It stars DeWanda Wise, which I was automatically like, oh, I like DeWanda. Let me check this out. Horror movie, maybe it'll be okay. I watched Totally Killer. I watched Megan. Thanksgiving looks like something I can deal with. And then the trailer plays, and it's basically about DeWanda Wise character had an imaginary friend when she was younger. Looks like she moved away, but now she's coming back to her original home. And the imaginary friend is pissed because she left and now she's back and she don't want nothing to do with her.
Right.
Or he. I don't know if the imaginary friend, he or she or what.
It.
It's it. It looks like it lives in a teddy bear,
Yeah.
perhaps. And the little girl in the movie now has this teddy bear, listen, it was going fine and I was cool, like, oh, I can handle this. And then something that looked like it came out of Hereditary with the whole witches and satanic this and that, and something looked scary, and I'm like, oh no, I don't know if I can be able to take this, which means it's probably a great horror movie.
Yeah, so watching it reminded me of Insidious a little bit.
Oh Lord.
And if you don't know what Insidious is about, Insidious was about a little boy and his father who could not sleepwalk. Well, they thought that they were sleepwalking, but basically they were astral projecting themselves.
But the things in there look really scary.
And when you astral project yourself, you leave your body.
Okay.
And the dead spirits see a vacant dead body and they like race to try to grab it.
Oh gosh, that sounds really spooky.
But it seems like Insidious in that way, but it seems like Insidious because when they realize that there's this evil entity in the house, they like contact a spiritual advisor who's this old lady, who's a psychic who comes in and she like tells them the whole plot and exposits everything that they have to do.
Weird looking figures in a book. I'm like, there's always a book. There's always some weird, creepy looking figures. Yeah. And that's when I start checking out because I'm like, I can't do creepy figures.
So it looks like after they go talk to so let's do the first thing. Let's go over the cast. DeWanda Wise.
Like her.
7 other actors are in this movie.
You know what? I will say I didn't recognize anybody else in the trailer.
A lot of them don't even have a filmography.
Okay.
DeWanda Wise has a really good filmography, though. DeWanda Wise she was just in Jurassic World Dominion.
I really liked her in that.
She played Kayla Watts, who was the pilot who got them to the island so that they could save Alan Grant and the rest of the cast members. She was also in She's Gotta Have It. She plays Nola Darling.
Oh, yeah.
In the Netflix reboot.
She's also, I think, in a TV show that's doing well right now, maybe on Apple. But she's in quite a few things and has
Invasion. She's in Invasion, which is that sci-fi TV show that's on Apple.
Oh, you know what? That's
not
not
Apple
even what
TV.
I was thinking of. I was thinking she was in a drama TV show. So I didn't know she was in Invasion.
Yeah.
Now I want to watch that too. Add it to the list.
But I'm excited about it.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try my best effort. And if I'm just there with my eyes covered, I was there.
If you can handle the poltergeist, you can handle this.
The old poltergeist here, for sure. New poltergeist.
Well, this seems like new poltergeist.
I don't think the new one looks scary. This looked like some Hereditary stuff. And
this isn't Hereditary.
Even see that movie. I just watched a little 30-minute clip with that like recap the whole movie, and I was thinking about that movie hours later. Like, that movie was really trippy, and now I'm freaking out. I ain't even see it. We'll see.
This movie, Imaginary, comes out on March the 8th, 2024. Has a budget of $13 million.
Oh, nice and low.
And it is being produced under Blumhouse Productions.
Everybody's favorite horror franchise.
Blumhouse is pretty much like dominating the horror film space.
But they put out good stuff, so let them do what they do, I guess.
Yeah. So excited about that?
Yeah.
On to other news.
All right. Next part of our show, we are talking about casting rumors, which, Lord child, they went into overdrive this week. There was one confirmed. So let's do the confirmed one first. So the confirming casting news was for Superman Legacy, which comes out 2025. It's basically the restart of the DCU under James Gunn. They have casted Maria Gabriela de Ferreira.
Okay.
I think I'm close. As the engineer, I will be honest and say I haven't a clue who that is in the comics.
She
said, the article said she was a villain, but James Gunn said villain is like a strong word or something. But I think he was just trying to be coy. She seems like she's the villain.
She's just like an anti-hero.
How many anti-heroes can we have in one movie?
Now you see the issue.
Okay. Anywho,
a lot of these comic book movies that are coming out now.
I don't know if people seem like they liked her as a good fit. I am very unaware of this casting, but hey, good for her.
The engineer.
Okay, you got news.
Can be played by a bunch of. Is
it originally a female character?
Most commonly.
Okay.
Yes. A lot of, I mean, what you'll know about a lot of characters, comic book characters today, a lot of them were males when they were created.
Okay.
And then eventually switched over when they realized that our entire comic book roster is just men.
And sex kittens.
So they gender swapped a lot of the comic book characters. The engineer was one of the characters who started out very early as a male, so early that most people don't even remember, but has been a woman for so long, kind of like Captain Marvel.
Okay.
She's a super smart scientist. She altered her body with nanotechnology, and she basically has like
super stretchy ability. No, I'm just playing.
You remember Terminator 2?
Yes.
The liquid dude?
Yes.
That's her.
Okay.
She has like liquid body parts, and she can like alter her body. And
so not that far from being super stretchy.
Not that far from being super stretchy. Super metal liquidy.
When you said super smart, I was like, so is she like Reed Richards?
Yeah. So she has like this, her body is like composed of like this mercury, like metal fluid that she can like alter and create weapons and wings and lots of different things.
Exactly like Terminator.
I find this casting strange because I feel like Superman Legacy does not need any more people in it.
I said earlier, it's an ensemble cast for sure.
So there was a rumor that came out about the plot synopsis of this movie.
It just feels like a lot of people
that we talked about earlier.
Supposed to reset a universe, but go ahead.
We talked about the leaked plot synopsis in a couple episodes earlier, how it was supposed to take place in the Middle East. Well, the conflict takes place in the Middle East. We have a younger Superman who's in his early 30s, who hasn't really made a name for himself. He's just trying to save the world and be Superman in his own way. He inserts himself into some Middle Eastern conflict.
Because he finds some Kryptonian tech of some sort.
Which starts off a much bigger problem with a superhero team that's already established of other superheroes like Hawk Girl and Mr. Terrific.
Who are supposed to look rumored to be the Authority, right?
So Superman trying to be Superman, being an unknown, trying to do things his own way, comes into conflict with already existing superheroes who are like, hey, there's a system and there's a process to the things that we do.
Right.
There were some additional details that came out earlier this week from a scooper that said that there was Kryptonian tech found in the Middle East.
Yep.
Superman does not know that he is Kryptonian yet.
Oh, really?
So basically, Superman knows that he's an alien. It's an implication that he's still trying to figure out the mystery of where he's from. So he knows that he's an alien. He has his spaceship that he crashed in.
The Googles ain't doing it for him.
He finds the Kryptonian tech in the Middle East, and that leads him to further discovering where he comes from.
Okay.
And the overarching villain behind it all is supposed to be Brainiac, who is this AI computer who is responsible for blowing up Krypton.
Fit in? We don't know.
Okay. I don't know. I feel like there's so many other superheroes in this movie.
Not only that, but there's so many overdone, redone. We've done this conflict in the Middle East plot line. Like, can y'all go to Antarctica? Somebody got to be cutting up on Iceland or something. Pick somewhere else.
It's easier to shoot. It's easier to shoot, and it's easier to duplicate a set of just desert or what Western society views the Middle East to be, because it's not exactly what the Middle East is.
Maybe he's behind the scenes rewriting it, because people were kind of, the reaction on Twitter of this leak, people were like, really again? But other people confirmed, like, yeah, I've heard this too. So
yeah,
maybe
I think this is getting rewrites, and I think Captain America 4 is getting rewrites because this is getting rewrites because of the Middle Eastern conflict that's going on right now. And this is just, I think this movie was released in poor taste timing wise. And with the whole Captain America 4 thing, with them introducing an Israeli Captain America that is supposed to be fighting for her country. I feel like it's just bad timing for all of that.
Yes. I will say, I wonder if people are just going to forget because these don't come out in 2020 until 2025. If people are going to be like, oh yeah, well that was 2 years ago. It don't matter. Maybe.
I would, but
people have short memories.
Because all of this is happening at the same time, I feel like it's going to be dug back up. Should the conflict be over, which I don't even see a good way for that to happen. But I think either way, by the time the movie comes up, you know how news works. They're going to re-dig up all the controversy and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, yes. Twitter never forgets.
But on to even more unsolid foundation.
Hey.
Fantastic Four casting rumors. Because none of this is confirmed. Even though
some of it's a little confirmed.
As strongly as everybody tried to set this in stone, this still is not set in stone. There was even insiders in Marvel that were like, yeah, I mean, we've had the discussions, but we're far away from a deal.
You know what's funny? So let's get to what it is. So Fantastic Four had 2 pieces of rumored news that came out. One was a little more solid. Well, one seemed like a little more solid. Right. As I said, one seemed more solid. So the first one was Pedro Pascal is supposedly lining up to be Reed Richards. One piece of news said that it was confirmed he was ready. And then another piece of news said we're far away because they got to work out his schedule, but it's looking like he ain't signed quite yet, but he's close to. So he may be Reed Richards. My big thing was all these scoopers come out about we've been trying to cast Fantastic Four in our heads for months at this point, and Pedro Pascal never mentioned. And I'm like, now how good are y'all?
Never.
And we supposed to y'all want people to believe what y'all say, and not a single person ever said, oh yeah, I heard about Pedro Pascal. Literally nothing.
Yeah, Pedro Pascal, the same. Every scooper recycled the same actors that everybody heard about.
They just take
being considered from this role, which just means that there's only one source. There's one source who talks to one person, and then the rest of the scoopers just copy whatever that one person's one source just said. So it doesn't mean that everybody has multiple sources.
No,
I feel like a lot of these scoopers are lying. But
I think it's lies mixed with I heard from.
Yeah, it's just telephone.
They just take each other's scoops, and I'm putting scoops in quotes because some of the scoops is mixed in with teaspoons of lies or made up fan fiction, and just run with it.
Yeah,
Whatever
Matt
gets the most clicks.
Matt Smith from
What's his name? I was trying to think of who the
from
other guy
from Game of Thrones, the prequel.
Right. Okay. Matt Smith was the other
House
guy.
of the Dragon.
What did they think of?
Yeah, he was also the villain in Morbius. So
I didn't know
you
that.
super recognize him from Morbius.
Yeah, because I saw that movie.
Right. Adam Driver was also being considered.
Supposedly.
Jake Gyllenhaal was also being considered.
Don't believe that.
Maggie Gyllenhaal was also being considered.
Wait.
No, but I'm just saying,
I was about to say, hold on. But remember,
these are the same names that.
What's her name? Mina Kunis?
Mina Kun. Oh.
Whoever. Y'all know who we talking about.
Mila Kunis.
She was supposed to be the Thing. Daveed Diggs was rumored to be the Thing.
Yeah.
I can't even remember.
And all the scoopers were saying all these things at the exact same time.
I can't remember who was supposed to be Johnny Storm at that point. But
so this is just another cycle of it happening all over again, because I find it, even if Pedro Pascal is casted as Reed Richards, I don't care. Reed Richards is like,
it's fine. And people were having they were so in their feelings about he can't be Reed Richards. He doesn't fit the part.
Every single character in the Fantastic Four is the first family. They're considered the first family of comic books. And the reason that they are considered the first family of comic books is for 2 things. One, they're the first family because they're literally incepted first. 2, the Fantastic Four characters are so vanilla that you can make them literally anything or anybody, because other than Reed Richards' motivations, none of them have a unique character trait or personality trait or something that can't be warped or bended or anything. Yeah. Like, they're not Superman.
Right.
Nobody in the Fantastic Four is like Superman, where they're so iconic to where people can tell when you're changing how this person is. They're not Batman. Like, there's no Bruce Wayne in the Fantastic Four. They're so vanilla. You can make them anything.
I will never forget how people whined and complained about Daniel Craig being James Bond because he had blonde hair, and James Bond don't look like that. Like, okay, y'all. And then how they dragged Heath Ledger through the mud and wanted to boycott Batman when he was cast as Joker. Now he's like the best Joker that ever jokered.
They did the same for Joaquin Phoenix.
And I was somebody who was like, Robert Pattinson playing who? I love that Batman movie. I've seen it twice. So I'm not about to be out here. We'll see how it plays out. How about we just be rational and see how it plays out, y'all? It's not like Pedro Pascal can't act.
He can.
Like, it's not like he just don't know how to do his job.
And a lot of people are like, oh, I feel like Pedro Pascal is overexposed and he's in too many things. I find it funny that the writer's strike just ended, and it really illustrated the fact that they have to work consistently. So saying an actor is overexposed or in too many projects is strange, because this is work.
Well,
they're saying you work too much. You're making too much
You're
money.
doing too many projects. My thing is the movie don't come out for 2 years.
Yeah,
How are we overexposing something and it's 2 years away?
exactly.
If they don't move that junk back.
So
Twitter was ablaze because people were like going back and forth about whether he was good and whether the rumor was right and whether it wasn't right. And Pedro Pascal can't be in this, that, and the third. And people are like, of course he can. Why can't he? So
I would say I'm interested to see if Pedro Pascal can pull out. So Reed Richards is definitively the smartest man in Marvel.
Mhm.
He's like even smarter than Tony Stark.
Okay.
But where Tony Stark toes the line,
Okay.
as far as ethics in science, Reed Richards jumps across that mug. Like Reed Richards constantly, yes, literally, Reed Richards constantly. And it's funny because even though he's like the good guy and he's the smartest guy, constantly Sue Storm or somebody has to remind Reed, like, hey, you know you have a family, right? You know all of these things that you're doing could affect the rest of us. Like people constantly have to remind Reed, like, hey, your family is dying. You have to stop doing science. You have to stop doing science and actually help out because, you know, but I wonder if he could pull that off. It
depends on how they write it.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I will say that the director of Fantastic Four is the same director of WandaVision, which I'm feeling very good about. And he's also directed a couple episodes of Monarch, Legacy of Monsters, which is getting well reviewed.
Okay.
I can't remember. The writer is did some writing, I don't know if he wrote the whole movie or not, of Avatar, Way of the Water. So he also got some good things under his belt. We'll see. I'm not about to be upset about a movie that's not even started shooting yet. And here's the other kicker. We still have the rest of the 4 to cast.
We do.
And the Twitter is going
to be
a villain 3 more times.
So speaking of
the villain, you're right.
Speaking of the villain, Javier Bardem has been rumored to play Galactus. Most recently, Javier Bardem played King Triton in the Little Mermaid.
He was a very good Bond
live
villain.
action remake. He was one of the best Bond villains.
He's also from There Will Be Blood, right? That's him. That's the movie.
No Country for Old Men.
There it is.
He was also the villain in the last Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
He was. I didn't love the movie, but I liked his portrayal as the villain.
Yeah. So he's a great character actor. He's one of those actors that really disappears into a role.
Yep.
So I think he could play Galactus.
Will be kind of like Thanos, right? Where it's just voice work, or no? Or will it be more like Kang, where
It could, because Galactus has a human face.
Okay.
He's
so
like
Kang.
He's a supreme being. He's not a human, but he has like a human face, and he's like a Kang. Okay. Even though Kang is human, but his get up where he has like the big helmet and the big body armor, and it's purple and green, or purple and green and pink or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I like Javier Bardem.
And he's supposed to be like, in the MCU, he would be like the size of a Celestial, because he goes around and he eats planets. So yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So once again, this rumor is also unconfirmed. This one is less confirmed than Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
The other actor that is rumored to play Galactus is Antonio Banderas, who probably could also do this very well. But I prefer the voice. I don't know. Antonio Banderas does Puss in Boots really well.
They could both do very well. I wonder why they went with the two of them. For the accent?
They have distinct voices, though.
Yeah, they'd have very distinct voices. So I'm wondering why it's between the two of them.
Right. I don't know.
Because that's what they're known for, is their character acting and their distinct voices.
Interesting. But yeah, that's it for casting news.
I wonder if Galactus is going to be in Secret Wars. Because in the Secret War comic, when they were all put on the Battle World planet, in the original Secret Wars, Galactus was also put there as like one of the contenders. And while they were like trying to fight each other and figure out how to win, Galactus was like, I'm trying to figure out how to eat this planet. So they also had to fight each other, but also worry about the Galactus is trying to destroy the planet while we're on it. So we have to work together and figure out how we're going to stop him. So yeah.
Speaking of that, did you see, you mentioning planets and eating made me think of Eternals. But did you see what Brie Larson said about her future in Marvel?
No, I didn't.
She said
that there was something. I saw that she said a quote where there's something I would like to say, but I'm not going to say it.
Yes. I was like, spill it. Spill the beans, Brie. What is it? I mean, she's obviously probably going to be in Secret Wars, but it sounds like they've already got something written up. I'm like, girl, if you're not. So the quote was, I don't want Marvel to come for me, she admitted, but there's definitely something to answer your question that I want to say, but I'm not going to do so.
Right.
was like, Bree, just a little salt, a little seasoning on whatever you just said. But we'll see. I just wanted to throw that out there because I read this morning.
So next, we have some news about upcoming films that are in production.
Or starting production pretty soon.
Or just getting moved around.
All of the above. Very first, I think this came out first out of the other pieces of news. Denzel Washington, more movies. Yay! He will be playing Hannibal. It's going to be a Netflix movie, which I was a little surprised about. I would figure Hannibal would be more like a Napoleon, getting like a full... You know what? They probably put it.
But you know what?
They're probably gonna put it in theaters. What am I talking
about?
about?
I would say the same about Macbeth, but Macbeth also went to streaming. And that was with Denzel Washington and Frances McDormand.
You know, they paying the same though. These studios, along with Netflix, they paying the same. So Denzel Washington is going to be playing Hannibal. The director is going to be Antoine Fuqua. And the script is going to be by John Nolan, whose name I didn't know, but he apparently also wrote the movie Gladiator with Joaquin Phoenix and Russell Crowe. So we don't have very much about this. The news just kind of came out that this was in production, early production, that Denzel Washington signed on, but you put Denzel Washington in anything and you already kind of got my interest. So there's that.
I think the script being written by John Logan is the best choice. 2 reasons. 1, Denzel Washington is going to be in Gladiator 2.
Show is going to see that.
2, the story of Hannibal, where he's the general who led the forces against Rome.
Yeah. Oh, like, yeah. Hannibal, not Hannibal Lecter, y'all. Just to clear that
like
up.
Battle movie. We were just saying about how Napoleon is going to be boring, but I want to see the battle scenes because I like pre-gun battles.
You like Lord of the Rings.
I like type. Sword and shield type battle, large scale battle sequences.
Yeah, this is that for
like,
sure.
I feel like this is gonna give me like realistic Helm's Deep vibes.
Yeah,
and I absolutely want to see that. And it's gonna be Denzel Washington doing it too. So absolutely.
Yeah. Next up in production news section, Dune 2 moved up 2 weeks to March 1st. I don't know why. I think now that the strike is over, they're trying to get Dune out as soon as possible.
Yeah, Dune got a lot of backlash for moving in the first place.
Right. Which I still don't think it should have. I still think Dune probably would have been fine.
Dune would have been fine.
I get it. But yeah, it just moved up 2 weeks. It actually wasn't a big jump like I initially thought.
Yeah.
But once again, like I said, March next year is going to be packed.
I wonder if Dune releasing at the beginning of March will impact the rest of the stuff coming out in March. Everything like else, later on at the end of the month.
I was going to say, everything else seems to be the end of the month. If anything, it's going to cut off Dune's legs, not everybody else's. But I don't work for Warner Brothers, so they have their own issues with movies, canceling them, writing them off, and then somehow the movie gets to come back. I'm like, where's Batgirl? That is not on our list. I'm going to keep moving.
On our list, we have Destin Daniel Cretton, who is the director for Shang Chi.
Good movie.
And The Legend of the Ten Rings in the MCU. Was pinned to direct Kang Dynasty. But that has changed.
He's not on it no more.
He released in a statement, I believe it was
I think there was an interview for maybe Hollywood Reporter.
Right. Where they're switching focus on his projects to Shang-Chi 2 instead. Yep. And other potential MCU films that have been undisclosed. But he's been removed from Kang Dynasty.
So it sounds like, according to the article, it read like he voluntarily said that he didn't want to do Kang Dynasty anymore. I'm sure the fact that the movie got moved again probably had something to do with that. And he's going to focus on Shang-Chi 2, which now we officially know is going to come out. Right. Because Jay was like, they're not doing that movie.
I didn't think they were going to do that movie, but I think that they had him set to direct Kang Dynasty.
And it got moved twice.
And that was the only thing that I could see that he had coming up. And because of all the uncertainty, he was probably like, y'all got me sitting on my hands telling me I can't really do anything because y'all don't know what you're going to do with this movie yet. Y'all need to give me something. Right. So they gave him Shang-Chi 2. I don't think this was originally planned to happen.
Oh, I think they shaking everything up over there.
I think Shang-Chi 2 was just a decision they recently decided to move forward with.
I feel like with Miss Marvel and the Marvels coming out, people are now asking more questions of like, okay, so where's the 10 rings coming from? Because they're obviously a connection. Right. Between Kamala's bangles and the 10 rings.
It also says he co-created the Wonder Man series that's coming to the MCU that is going to be starring Yahya Abdul-Mateen, who is
Ayy.
currently in Aquaman as Black Manta. He's
Mhm.
coming over to the Marvel space because the DCEU is being laid to rest.
It sure is. You're right about that.
And I found it interesting that they said the Wonder Man is going to be moved under the Marvel Spotlight banner.
Makes perfect sense to me. No, not to you?
Not to me, because Marvel Spotlight is supposed to be street level heroes and crime, and Wonder Man is basically Superman.
Well, let's pause. Marvel didn't say that. That's what somebody interpreted as far as Marvel Spotlight.
I feel like it would be very strange. The street level thing fit for Luke Cage.
Yes.
But not Wonder Man.
Maybe that's not what Marvel Spotlight is, and it's more just because if you read about Marvel Spotlight in this particular article, it doesn't mention that. It says that Marvel Spotlight is but shows that are not connected to the larger universe. That's it.
Okay, and that's fine. Wonder Man doesn't have to be connected to the larger universe.
Right. So that's why Echo is there. That's why Wonder Man is there.
He's way too overpowered. That's like putting Vision in Marvel Spotlight and making Visions off street level crime. He's made of vibranium and has an Infinity Stone in his forehead. Yeah, like what's the point of putting him street crime?
Yeah, so maybe that initial description of Marvel Spotlight wasn't correct because this article just says their story's not connected to the larger universe.
Yeah.
I'm just happy the show is still happening.
I'm happy Wonder Man is still happening.
I mean, who don't want to see more Yaya on screen?
The plot for Wonder Man sounds fun. Because in the comics, Wonder Man is an actor.
Right.
He's a action star.
Isn't he like a out of work actor or something?
Yeah, he's like, his career is dwindling. And he gets superpowers, reinvigorates his ability in acting. But he also has the responsibility of, with great power comes great responsibility.
Right. He also, him and Wanda had a thing too, right?
Yeah, in the comics, and they had an on and off thing. I believe in the comics, I'm not sure which happened first, but basically Wonder Man died.
Okay.
And then they used his brain patterns to create Vision. So Vision would have a mind of his own. In the comics, Vision didn't get the Infinity Stone. The gem in his forehead was just a power source, but his brain was developed from the brain patterns of Wonder Man so he could have thoughts and a mind of his own. And then Wonder Man came back to life, was resurrected because nobody in comics dies. And Scarlet Witch went back to Wonder Man. Because Vision lost his personality and turned into White Vision.
Yep.
In the comics. And Wanda was like, well, if you restored yourself to factory settings, I'm going to go back to Wonder Man.
Yeah, OG.
Because that's where the original brain was. Right. So that's where she went back to. Yeah.
Okay. I like that little interesting backstory there.
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't have a release date. All we know is that they're starting to film again. Because they got shut down due to the strikes. They're starting back up after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to take a short break and we'll be back with our review for Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Okay. So this week we saw Hunger Games, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. It is the prequel to the Hunger Games series. So you did not need to see any of the previous Hunger Games movies for this. It is, however, based on a book that came out before, or no, it came out after, right? This book came out after.
This prequel book came out just a few years ago.
Okay, cool. It was released on November 17th, which was yesterday. It is directed by Francis Lawrence, who also directed the Catching Fire and Mockingjay Part 1 and 2 movies for Hunger Games. He also directed Constantine, a favorite of mine, and I Am Legend. I wonder if he's going to do the next I Am Legend.
Should there be a next I Am Legend?
It's coming. It's going to have Michael B. Jordan and Will Smith. And they changing the ending to do the sequel. Did you know that?
Sounds like they should just make a different movie.
Hello. So this movie is starring Rachel Zegler, Tom Blythe, Viola Davis, Peter Dinklage, and Jason Schwartzman.
Yeah, so a cast. Until the end.
It has some good people in it. I'm not super familiar with Tom Blythe, but he did good in this, so I will see him in more things.
He is ingenue is for women. He's a male ingenue, where this is his Sidney Prescott role.
Oh, okay.
This is his introduction into
the foray of big Hollywood movies.
He's best new artist.
There you go. He did. Yeah. I would give him the award.
Even though he's been in stuff, he's best new artist.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think he is the most least known out of like the top billed characters or actors in this. Runtime 2 hours and 38 minutes. A little long. touch. A budget of $100 million, which is great for a movie of this size. Box office projected opening weekend domestically is around $50 million. They're probably gonna make their budget back in the weekend, but I think this is the lowest opening of any Hunger Games ever, if I'm not mistaken. Cinema score is a B+, which I was a little surprised by. I thought it would be a little higher. Rotten Tomatoes critic score is a 61. Audience score is a 90. So audience liked it and critics semi-liked it. And that's all our fun facts or our super facts for Hunger Games.
So would you like me to summarize the plot?
Can you do it in 30 seconds or less? No, I'm just kidding.
Sure.
You probably could.
I can.
We're gonna test it. Ready and go.
Okay, so the plot of this movie is we are watching the rise of President Snow, who is rising from being a pre-college student. This is, I believe, the 11th Hunger Games?
10th or 11th?
10th or 11th Hunger Games.
I think it's 10.
And we are watching them just decide to incorporate the things that we see in Jennifer Lawrence's Hunger Games. Where this is where they decide to have mentors. This is where they decide to increase the entertainment value of it and the donations. And we're basically seeing how he goes from being an aspiring student who wants to be a game maker and how he clears the path to put himself there.
You almost had it. You were like 40 seconds, but that was pretty good.
Oh, okay.
Or my math is off. Either way, that was a very good synopsis.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I like Viola Davis the best.
Viola Davis was the scene stealer.
Probably
I actually
not a
looked forward
surprise.
to any time that she was on screen or when I felt like she was
I was kind
coming.
of worried that it was going to... And this is actually a good worry. Sometimes you like a character or actress or actor so much when they play a bad person, they play a real good and you're like, I can't like you or nothing else because you was too bad in this movie. But she did villain well.
She hammed it up. It wasn't like Amanda Waller where she was really good at being bad.
And a jerk.
But she was really good at being bad, but she was bad in a way that you couldn't be on her side.
Right.
Because she's like really awful.
You couldn't be on her side in this one either.
You could not be on her side in this one,
really
but I
good
enjoyed watching her do her awful things.
Yes.
Yeah.
She looked real good doing it. Even
like,
with her eye, I was like, she looked good though.
Yeah. She was a great villain. She was like an evil Willy Wonka.
Yes, that's a very good description.
In costume and in motivation, a little.
That is very true. Rachel Zegler and Tom also did good. I actually realized I don't think I've seen Rachel Zegler in anything either.
You would have seen Rachel Zegler in nothing because you did not watch Shazam 2.
I didn't watch West Side Story.
You did not watch Paddington Bear.
No.
And you may not watch Snow White. We don't know.
Up in the air. And I definitely haven't seen Tom in anything. But I thought they did really good as far as being like the lead characters. Peter Dinklage, at first I wasn't feeling it, but towards his ending scenes, I was like, oh, okay. Okay, I see what you're working with here.
Peter Dinklage is probably my least favorite character only because they didn't give him any motivation until the very end of the movie.
Okay, fair enough. I cannot disagree.
Like they didn't define his purpose for being in the movie until the end.
Yeah, a little meat there would have been helpful. My least favorite character was Jason Schwartzman as the host. He was the host, right? He didn't have a special title. He was just host.
Yes, so he was the first host. So this was so in the original Hunger Games movies with Jennifer Lawrence, Stanley Tucci plays the host who interviews all of the tributes and basically
it's like the MC.
Assist in making them a spectacle so that the audience watching the games will like them more and will tune in more and send gifts and blah, blah, blah. Jason Schwartzman is supposed to play his either father or grandfather.
Sure.
He's Stanley Tucci is supposed to be a descendant of Jason Schwartzman.
Well,
and Jason Schwartzman does not do a good job at being a Stanley Tucci stand-in.
It wasn't great.
And nobody can do that.
Well, obviously.
Nobody can stand in for Stanley Tucci, but Jason Schwartzman is a far cry.
I didn't quite enjoy his depiction of this particular character very well, and he tried to be funny. Like the effort was there.
And maybe it was intentional because he's supposed to be like a television host / weatherman. So maybe they made his jokes intentionally bad to simulate like Jimmy Kimmel jokes, how his jokes never really land.
Yeah.
So he's supposed to be like that type of character, but it wasn't good at all.
Okay. Yeah, wasn't feeling it. Anything else we want to say about the plot?
Non-spoilery?
Yeah, non-spoilery.
Production value was really great.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that they had a budget of $80 million, and I felt like I saw more money on screen.
It was very well put together. The costuming was really good.
Costuming was great. And Hunger Games does really good with costume, especially like Capital City costuming.
Yes.
Great with costuming.
Like I said, Viola Davis, her character, I liked her whole get up from top to bottom.
I liked all of the acting.
Yeah, overall it was
from the main characters.
Yes.
Some of the side characters had issues with.
Mm-hmm. But overall,
he has
was good.
his classmates that are supposed to be pretentious.
Oh no, I didn't.
They weren't good at playing pretentious people.
Yeah,
they were really bad.
They definitely was just kind of like, we just need some people to say these lines, and then y'all could, go about y'all day.
Cinematography, production, costuming, all of that was good. The script was good.
It could have been a little tighter. The movie overall could have been shorter. You don't think so?
I have thoughts about that, but I'll save it to
the
non-spoiler.
We'll wait. Okay. All right. So if you haven't seen this movie yet and you don't want us to spoil, now it's time to pause and check us back later, because we're going to spoil in 3, in 2, in 1.
Okay. So this movie, you can guess, ends where it's lining up for Donald Glover. Donald Glover.
Sutherland.
Donald Sutherland.
I knew who you meant. Oh, that would be a twist of fate right there.
Where the movie,
maybe in the multiverse.
The movie ends where Tom Blythe is basically becoming Donald Sutherland.
Yeah.
And we see where his father, his name is Coriolanus Snow, is the main character, who's Tom Blythe. His father, I forget his dad's name, but
somebody Snow.
OG Snow.
There we go.
Was responsible for creating the Hunger Games, but he was not the one who came up with the idea.
Right.
Peter Dinklage was the character who came up with the idea.
In a drunken stupor.
And he wasn't really pitching it as an idea, but he was pitching it basically as this ridiculous thing that would end up coming to pass had the Pan Am continued to be at war with itself.
Yeah, I bet he was basically in his feelings because the districts were like causing all this uprising, and this was his, I'm drunk, I'm saying something stupid way to punish them. But Snow's dad, OG Snow, took that, put his name on it, and then voila, Hunger Games. But you don't know that to the last 60 seconds of the movie.
You're right. Which makes it a little bit more confusing because OG Snow created the Hunger Games. Mm-hmm. The movie starts out took credit for giving Pan Am the idea of hosting the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
The movie starts out where we see a young Snow.
Yep.
Main character Coriolanus Snow and his cousin Tigress running through the war-torn streets of the capital city. Mm-hmm. And they see like they're pulling food scraps out of the trash. They're seeing people eat other people because they're cannibals.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And they're broke. And
broke.
we get a time jump where they're young adults and they're still broke.
Yep.
They're first world broke, where they can still live in like a capital city apartment.
Right.
That looks like somewhere Michael Keaton Bruce Wayne would live.
Yeah.
And they still had like fancy clothing. Their mom still had like all of her finest pearls and fur.
So they still have like family heirlooms, but their current state is they are living below the poverty line in a non-impoverished city.
Right.
There we go.
And it's very easy to look poor in capital cities. So they're trying to keep up appearances.
Yes, they are very much trying to keep up appearances.
I find it strange that their family name is the one responsible for creating Hunger Games, and they were left with nothing.
They didn't really explain. I'm sure the book did this. They didn't really explain the prominence of OG Snow.
Yes, because OG Snow gets killed off screen at the beginning of the movie.
Right, we never see him, and he keeps getting brought up. Like his dad and whose son he is keeps getting brought up, but they never really say, well, why was he so, like, why do we care who his dad is? Mm-hmm. Like, who was he, like the president? Was he like
everybody says he was like a terrible person?
Was he chief of staff?
Right.
Like, so that was missing in the story. Like, we know he turns out to be President Snow, but we don't know who his dad is, and I don't feel like they put enough backstory for us to care.
So prior to the Hunger Games that we know from Jennifer Lawrence's movies, in this prequel, the Hunger Games are in the early stages, and they're not really catching on viewership wise.
Surprisingly,
This is before they started assigning people mentors doing like the whole Met Gala rigmarole with dressing them up and showing them off. So basically, in this iteration of the Hunger Games, since it's so early, they just pluck people from 12 districts, throw them in a arena that's like the size of half of a football field.
It looks
like, and they duke it out, and all of it takes place in like maybe a day or two, depending on how fast they all kill each other.
Right, about to say, it doesn't seem like it's supposed to last very long.
It's not this big grand affair.
I was confused because I was thinking, because I didn't finish all the Hunger Games, but I was thinking it was going to be like the first one with Jennifer Lawrence, where they were out in the field and grass and a big old.
It was like a grand thing,
right? And I was like, why are they stuck in this little baby football field?
Right.
But that's how it started, because we're only on Hunger Games number 10. Oh, something I didn't mention is that this takes place 67 years before. Yeah. The original Hunger Games movies.
So in the original Hunger Games with Jennifer Lawrence, the mentors would get prize money. Right. For having their tribute win. But in this prequel, they decided in this movie, we're going to start instituting mentors, because prior to us putting mentors, prize money from the institute would just go to whoever had the best grades.
Yeah, there it was.
So Snow was like, I have never missed a class. I have the best grade. I'm top students. I have all of the qualifications to get this prize money. This prize money is going to help me and my family pay the rent.
Because they need it.
So we can actually go back to being rich, instead of me faking that I'm rich by wearing my hand-me-down dress clothes and my too tight shoes, like Peter Dinklage calls out later on in the movie. But Peter Dinklage makes the announcement to everybody. So all the students are lined up in the auditorium ready to hear who's going to win the prize money. Peter Dinklage jumps in and he's like, actually, there's been a change. We're not getting the viewership that we like to get.
Because Viola Davis's character,
she's the game master.
Right, Professor Gull.
Volumnia Gull.
She is like, these ratings is low. We need to spice it up. We're not doing this whole just give out the prize money. She basically shaking the table.
Right.
Essentially.
So Volumnia Gull is the Snow. Yes. Is the President Snow in this movie. Where she's not the president, though. She's just the game master. She creates the little challenges that they'll face in the arena. And she also invents other things for the Capitol as well.
NFL commissioner.
Yeah, but she also invents other things. Like she was the one, we find out she was the one who invented the Mockingjays. Yes. That were the iconic symbol for the other Hunger Games.
In addition to being a game master, she's also a crazy scientist.
Yeah, so she made the Mockingjays as science experiments to send out to the districts, send these birds out to the districts. The birds will listen to the things that are being said in conversations, and they would play back word for word. They're like sci-fi
flying tape recorders,
right? They're like sci-fi parakeets, basically.
Absolutely.
And you can control them with a remote control, where you can hit one switch and they'll record everything that they're hearing, and you hit the other switch and they'll play what they just recorded. Right. And she calls them a failed experiment because they never amounted to nothing, but it ends up becoming
big old plot device.
Chekhov's gun. Right. At the end of the movie, because you're like, this is gonna come back.
Yeah, it does in a big way, and it's kind of Snow's second to last descent, I would say, into madness of how he basically uses it to frame he says he's his friend, but I don't think you do friends like that.
Yeah, so Snow has like one friend. Who is actually rich. Yes. But he's rich with a heart. He actually cares about the other people in the district.
He doesn't like the Hunger Games at all.
He constantly puts himself at risk. His name is Sejanus. Right. And Sejanus constantly puts himself at risk to assist because he's from the districts. Yes. He says, he's like, I'm from the districts. My family got rich. That's what put us here. But I never forgot, where I came from. And
he wants to help.
He has he
tries to help at least.
Yeah, so he wears the cross throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, he was fine. I will say it's silly. Snow actually had a point so towards the end of the movie, we're all jumping back and forth at this point, but Sejanus is trying to help these people out, like people in the district out, because they end up back in the district being peacekeepers. And Snow was like, dude, Like, you try to help these people out, you're gonna mess it up for both of us.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna need you to find another way to help, because you helping gonna get me hung out here.
Yeah.
And I was kind of Snow. I was like, he kind of had, like, y'all came all the way out here to be peacekeepers, knowing what peacekeepers do. Now you trying to shake the system. Snow was like, I ain't about that life, so we might have to, like, I got to do something about it. And which Snow does.
Absolutely. So after Peter Dinklage, who, I mean, I'm just going to call him Tyrion Lannister because he plays Tyrion from Game of Thrones.
Oh, I was going to say, I have no idea who that is.
Just word for word.
Okay.
He plays like the guy who knows everything but won't tell everybody everything,
Okay.
and is always there to like drop some sinister line or some cryptic thing that you have to think about after he leaves the room.
Of course.
Tyrion comes out and he's like, we're no longer giving prize money to people just because they had the best grades of the top students. We're giving prize money to we're making you all mentors.
Right.
You have to, we're assigning you a tribute, and you will only get the prize money if you make your tribute a spectacle.
Right.
You
Don't
have
necessarily
to get,
need to win.
You have to get your tribute to make people want to watch and tune in to the Hunger Games. And
Right.
whoever's tribute gives the best performance, whether they live or die,
Right.
Gets,
they want more ratings, basically.
Gets the money. Except for Snow.
You go through the whole movie not knowing why Peter Dinklage's character is pissed at this kid.
Right.
I was like, is this like a Snape Harry Potter situation? What is going on?
So we find out that he's pissed at Snow not because of anything Snow did, because he just he didn't like his dad when his dad was alive.
And he stole his
So
idea.
he tells him, like, you're not getting the prize money,
Right.
because I'm the one who gets to decide.
And
I
you're
don't
not
like
gonna-
you anyway.
Right.
So you can do whatever you want to do. You're not getting this prize
And
money.
his motivation, him judging his or being like a jerk to his son made no sense. But why he was because he's a drunk in this movie. Peter Dinklage's character is a drunk.
Yeah, it looks like he's addicted to morphine.
Right. And you find out why is because not only did OG Snow take his idea, he actually doesn't like the Hunger Games. Like, he doesn't like the fact that they plucking these kids out and killing them. Because he says a line like, and I've been jacked up. He basically says, I've been jacked up since the first kid failed.
Yeah, he was like, I gave your dad this idea in a drunken stupor,
Right.
and your dad actually implemented it, and I feel guilty because every time they have the Hunger Games, I feel like there's blood on my hands, because had I not said anything, we would never have a Hunger Games.
And he's basically, I think he also says he's been trying to stop it ever since, and he has not been successful. So.
And then young Snow coming into the game and reinvigorating it made it even worse for Peter.
And
Dinklage.
that's kind of what the whole movie. Well, that's what the first half of the movie is about. Snow not working with Rachel Zegler's character. What's her name? Lucy Gray. So Lucy Gray gets assigned to Snow, and Snow has this whole thing of like, not only do I want to win this money for my family, I also want to help this girl out because she ends up saving him in a attack.
Yeah, so Lucy Gray is a singer.
Yes.
From District 12.
Correct.
And she mesmerizes everybody with her voice.
Including
kind of
Snow.
in the same way that she's like super charismatic. She's great for the camera. She's great with talking to the kids and the fans.
And she's got a beautiful voice.
She's got a beautiful voice that like mesmerizes everybody anytime she sings. So of course, Snow falls in love with her. Right. So he's like, I need this money for my family, but also I'm in love with this girl, so I'm invested in making sure she gets out.
The first half of the movie is about him trying to get her to win, and then her having to go through all the different fights, and then the kids getting killed, which was, I was like, this is getting depressing. I'm gonna need this to hurry up because I'm tired of these little kids getting killed.
He writes a proposal with a bunch of ideas for ways that they can reinvigorate people's interest in the Hunger Games.
And they basically get implemented, all of them.
And he gives them and that introduces us to Viola Davis's character, who is the game maker. Well, we see her earlier in the movie, but this actually is a scene where we get to actually talk to her.
Right.
And she loves his ideas. She sees him as a progeny. In a sense, and she's like, I want to implement all of this stuff, and I kind of want you to be there to witness these changes because she sees a lot of potential in him. So they implement the changes, and
semi works. It actually does work.
It gets people to watch. Like, people actually send in gifts, and the viewership is going up.
Not only does it work, Snow and Lucy Gray actually win.
Yeah, so we get through the games,
Technically.
and so this is a 2.5 hour movie, and the first hour and 15 minutes of the movie is the introducing us to Snow and the Hunger Games. The Hunger Games end about an hour and 15 into the movie.
Yeah, so halfway through the game's over.
So
Snow wins, but he cheats.
Snow wins, but he cheats. He has to go in to save one of the mentors who went in there to pay tribute. Yeah.
Yep.
One of the mentors that was his friend, Sejanus, sneaks into the arena to pay tribute to their tribute who was killed for trying to escape.
Because he hates the Hunger Games.
So they send Snow in there to extract him without being caught by the other tributes who are just ready to kill anybody who's in the arena. And Snow ends up having to kill one of the tributes in order to get out alive.
Right.
Viola Davis covers it up.
Although he unnecessarily bludgeons the kid.
I don't know if it's unnecessary.
He hit the kid twice and the kid was down. And then he does it one more time. Like, that last shot wasn't really necessary, sir.
But
he said he liked it, which starts to show his descent into madness.
We get clear signs that he's a bad guy.
Yeah,
he enjoys like the murder aspect of the Hunger Games.
They do a good job of breadcrumbing you to how Snow gets to how he ends up being, basically.
Yeah, we get the sense that Snow enjoys the murder aspect of the Hunger Games, but what he does not like
power.
What he does not like is getting his hands dirty and doing it himself. He prefers not to do that.
He said he likes the power that it gives him when he can do those things.
But Viola Davis covers it up, one, because he's like the prize student. And he's the one who's gotten everybody's interest in the Hunger Games back up. So she's like, look, help me out. Get your dude out of there. I'll cover up what you did so we can continue to run this successful operation. So he does that, pulls a couple other stunts behind the scenes, like having other mentors send in water that accidentally kills some of the tributes. He sends in these water drones that are...
He cheats blatantly, and then he cheats not so blatantly.
Twice.
Much. Couple times for sure.
He sneaks Rachel Zegler's character some rat poison that she uses to poison the water supply inside the arena.
It's just water bottles.
That kills one of the tributes.
Yep.
I do think that Rachel Zegler's character had a lot of plot armor. So the beginning of the Hunger Games itself starts off like the rest of they do. You hear the siren, and everybody runs towards the middle where the weapons are. And they had that same sequence in this movie, and she survived all of her fights just by dodging. Like, she can bob and weave, but she can't like throw a punch. She can't actually fight, but she's good at...
actually fights. I don't know if she actually fights anybody this whole movie.
She has like martial arts level skills at dodging like swords and spears, but she can't actually... She has no offense.
She got the left trigger X on lock.
So I thought she had a lot of plot armor, because I'm like, she has no fighting skills. You don't just know how to dodge. Like, you have to be able to dodge some of these things very precisely.
She basically wins because Snow cheats, and she's very good at dodging.
And she's very good at dodging. So,
but you're not allowed to cheat in the Hunger Games, which gets us to the second half of the movie.
But prior to that, so Viola Davis has been working on a new thing to put in the arena, which are this pit of snakes. And the snakes are harmless if they have your scent.
Right.
But if they do not have your scent, they will eat you. So Viola Davis introduces this element to the movie, but she doesn't really state that she has any plans for it, because we see a lot of things in her lab that are like creepy,
because she's a mad scientist,
creepy hybrid animal science experiments all over the place that she actually isn't doing anything with. But because none of the districts like the Hunger Games, there's a rebel bombing. They bomb the Coliseum. And to try to stop it, that doesn't work. They also assassinate the president's son off screen that we never see. I thought that was maybe that was a book thing that they elaborated more on the book, but they just didn't have time to in this 4-hour movie.
There's several moments of that.
So Viola Davis is like, nah, gloves is off. I don't care if anybody wins or not. I'm sending a message.
She turns up the turnip.
She drops the pit of snakes into the Coliseum, and they pretty much kill every single person except for Lucy. In one go. It clears out all of the competition.
It's the game pretty much.
Except for killing Lucy, because Snow snuck in a handkerchief that had her scent on it into the pit of snakes. So Lucy doesn't get eaten by the snakes, and it makes the viewers and even the students at the academy love her even more. So
Right.
she becomes the
Because
new.
they think it's the singing.
She becomes the new Katniss Everdeen. Well,
Right.
the OG Katniss Everdeen in this universe.
Right. She did. The audience thinks she doesn't get bitten by the snakes because she's singing. She does a lot of singing in this movie, which I get. Her character's a singer. I did not love it, but Cheryl also is not a musical lover, so I'm biased.
Mhm.
She sings, and everybody thinks the snakes are not biting her because she's singing, but actually it's because Snow took the handkerchief he wiped her face off of and put them in the tank through like a little slit, and then that's how she ends up not getting bit.
So he cheated all through the games, basically. But it got Lucy
home
mm-hmm. safe.
Yep.
But unfortunately, Peter Dinklage, who said at the beginning, we're going to find out if you guys cheat. And he did, because Snow did stupid things. Like the handkerchief he snuck into the pit of snakes had his mother's initials on them.
I think it was his
family. Had his family's initials on them.
Yeah.
And the mirror that was holding the rat poison was his mother's makeup mirror. And Peter Dinklage was your dad's best friend, so he would recognize these items that you're sneaking into her.
He doesn't cheat very well, and I was like, I just thought he would get seen. That's how I thought he was going to get caught. But before we get into the second half of the movie, a couple of my notes was they did the Pirates of the Caribbean Yo Ho Ho song where they started singing
when they were getting hung.
Where they were, I think it was the reaping.
Yes,
they started
did.
singing. I was like, my very first note says Pirates of the Caribbean Yo Ho Ho. I just thought that was funny.
Never shall we die.
It's way better.
It's much better in Pirates
of the Caribbean. I was not digging Rachel Zegler's Southern accent. Her acting was good. Her singing, even though it wasn't like my favorite, was good.
Her character in the book was Southern.
Didn't love the accent, however. Okay. And then the other note I had, a couple other notes I had was, 2 of the mentors died before the games even start. And I was like, so the Capitol don't care about these tributes or don't care about no kids at all.
Yeah, so this is the worst some of the districts have ever looked.
Not only did the kids look bad from the districts, the fact that some mentors was getting off before the games even started, I was like, so nobody cares about anybody under the age of 18.
Yeah.
Got it.
So
got it.
In the original Hunger Games with Jennifer Lawrence, we're used to seeing them pick the tributes up, and they kind of treat the tributes like celebrities until they die.
In this original.
Like in the original Hunger Games, they treat them like celebrities. They dress them up. They get to stay in like the nicest they get to stay in like the nicest apartments. They get to stay and wear the nicest clothes. There's lots of food in the Capitol in the Jennifer Lawrence movies.
These kids was starving.
It's awful, but they try to
be hospitable to
the tributes before they throw them in the arena. In this, they pretty much pick up the tributes.
They put them in a zoo.
They put them in a zoo pen,
like a literal zoo,
like where you
not like a fake zoo.
Like
y'all.
Don't feed
a real zoo.
Like don't feed the animals a zoo pen. Yeah. They dump them in a zoo pen and they leave them there for
until the game starts.
Viewers to come and watch and talk to them behind these bars.
So, like I said, the first
it was very unhumane.
Of this movie was depressing. I was like, this is a lot. I just had a really good time at the movies last weekend, and this time I'm getting depressed. And I don't like it.
And they wear the same clothes. They don't bathe. They don't feed them at all.
They look dusty.
Yeah,
the whole time, pretty much the whole time. Rachel Zegler's character Lucy Gray has on the same dress the first whole half of the movie.
Yeah, and it was very interesting because it was just strange seeing the difference from you guys started
from the bottom.
And this is all uncivilized, but somehow y'all regressed and made it even worse. Like it was bad enough that y'all are
doing this anyway.
Taking people who are starving and making them fight for their lives for entertainment, but somehow you guys went further and I did not see that coming. So I thought that was impressive.
Yeah.
I didn't like the reaping. Usually I'm used to seeing the reaping ceremony where you're in the districts and it's somber and it's sad and it's more impactful because you're in the districts with the crowds as they're picking them and putting them on the train.
They kind of sped right
and
through
this
it.
one, they did a reaping speed run where you just watched it on TV.
Right. And they only focused on Lucy Gray's district when they picked her and the guy from that one.
I feel like it was a bad idea because the theme of the movie was people aren't going to care about watching it if they don't form a connection to the tributes. I feel like they forgot about the audience because I didn't. Well,
remember at the beginning of the movie, the audience was crap anyway. So
That's
that's
true.
probably why they decided to make it the way that they did 67 years later.
Also, I thought it was strange that cheating wouldn't be allowed because
This is despicable already enough.
Tyrion was like, the only way you're going to get the money is if you make a spectacle. I would think that they would let them do whatever they want because it's for viewership. I mean, we know how TV works.
My thing is, why do we care about cheating when we're pitting kids against each other?
We know how viewership and reality TV works.
Why do we care about cheating in this type of game anyway?
Everybody in here is probably going to die.
Right.
So who
people
cares
are trying
if
to
it's
cheat for
cheating?
people to live?
Yeah.
I
And do you think people will watch it less if it's not if they know that there's cheating behind the scenes? Let me tell you something. Love and Hip Hop has been scripted since the day it came out.
All that junk is scripted.
And it has like 7 spinoffs, and it gets like 2 seasons a year.
Right.
People know when reality TV is rigged, and it does not affect viewership at all.
Right. Yeah, I didn't get the whole don't cheat. Like y'all killing teenagers. Like, what are we doing here?
So on to the second half of the movie. Rachel Zegler lives.
Which you were less of a fan of?
I was less of a fan of, but I don't. So, and it was one of my notes. I was like, this is 2 separate movies because the second half of this movie is a separate movie. But
it does feel like
somebody said maybe they should have made it a sequel. And if they had put that second half into a separate movie, I would not have liked it. Yes. There was not enough that, even though the second half of this movie was a separate hour-and-a-half movie, it was not a good. It would not have made a good standalone movie.
It wouldn't have stood on its own, basically.
And it didn't have enough going on.
It's funny because the director Francis Lawrence said that he regretted actually splitting Mockingjay into 2 parts.
And that was a big criticism of that movie.
So he purposely, there was no way this one was getting split because the director was clearly like, I didn't like the way I did it then. I'm not doing that now. So even though it felt like 2, it could have been 2 movies. He was not going to do it that way regardless.
Yeah, and I read the Mockingjay book, but I didn't watch the movie. Okay. And in the book, all of the interesting things and the action happened in the first half of the book, and the second half was a lot of just like drama.
Which is what this was.
Which is what this was. So I didn't know that he regretted that because you did the same thing.
Well, no, he made it one movie.
You just put it in one movie.
Okay. They find out that Snow cheated. They send Snow off to be a peacekeeper for 20 years. Like, that's his punishment.
In District 12.
Well, first they were going to send him to District 8, but he bought his way to District 12 with a little bit of cash that he had left.
He wanted to go back to be with Lucy.
He wanted to go find Lucy.
And his friend goes with him.
Right. So Janice and Snow are both in District 12. They run into Lucy. Snow is like, oh, we're free. I found you. But however, Snow want to get back to his family.
So Snow wants to do all the things he's got to do, which are the right things.
Yeah.
To get back home to his family.
Lucy, however, is like, I ain't going back there. So we very shortly after they have a reuniting realize that this ain't going to work.
And so Janice is out there like,
doing
I'm out here to help the rebellion.
Yes, he out here trying to be Luke and Leia Skywalker out here.
Yeah.
And then you got Darth Vader. And you got, I don't know what Lucy Gray would be. Padme?
Yeah, we'll call her Padme.
So we got Star Wars happening in this second half. And it kind of goes to crap for everybody, to be quite honest. The whole, let's see.
So Janice is out there in District 12 trying to help the rebels fight back against Pan Am.
Yep.
And
so he's Luke and Leia Skywalker.
And Snow is like, you need to stop what you're doing because you're not very good at being sneaky because I keep catching you doing sneaky stuff.
One thing he did say that I kind of agree with that. If Janice would have messed up, his dad could have came and paid his money and sent him wherever he needed to be back. But nobody else had that privilege.
Yeah, because
that's why Snow was kind of like, I need you to back down because if you get caught, you're gonna be good. And after these people get caught, we getting hung.
We're told like after Snow loses his spot in the academy and gets sent out to District 12, his family gets kicked out of their home. Right. So they're displaced as well. So Snow's like, I need to do what I want to do, what I need to do to get back home. My hope is that I can convince Lucy to love me enough to come back with me. Which that wasn't gonna happen.
That clearly was not gonna happen, and we see that. And I never believed that Snow loved Lucy enough to leave his family behind. Even in the movie, where he eventually gets to the point where we're like, okay, let's run away together or whatever, because it's obvious they need to leave. I was like, no.
So Snow's
he ain't
like,
gonna like this.
Snow is like, so Janice is not gonna listen to me.
Nope.
So I gotta sell him out.
He
So
snitched big time.
Snow uses a Mockingjay to record Sejanus admitting to helping the rebels and supplying them with what Sejanus thinks is just like food and money.
Nope.
So they can leave the districts and go live in the wilderness.
Yeah.
He's actually supplying, he does not know that he's actually supplying them with guns.
Whole weapons.
So Snow sends off the recording.
Yep.
He sends it, addresses it to Viola Davis's character in the Capitol.
Sure does.
We don't see that. We don't see the effect of that roll around until later on in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But Sejanus and Snow find out that Sejanus has actually been supplying the rebellion with guns.
Mm-hmm.
The rebellion is like, we don't like Snow. We don't like Lucy. We don't like Snow because he's from the Capitol. We don't like Lucy because
the mayor's daughter.
Daughter and Lucy share the same boyfriend.
At some point, yes.
So the mayor's daughter's like, I'm about to go snitch. Sure. Snow grabs that gun and shoots her in the back.
Which was
dead.
Probably the most shocking part of the movie. And then once again, another breadcrumb of Snow ain't all right in his head. Because why he shoot that girl in the back?
So he shoots the girl in the back. The girl's boyfriend dies because he was also going to snitch.
Yeah, because somebody shoots him.
Mm-hmm. And then the recording, word about the rebellion recording has made it to Viola Davis. Yep. Viola Davis has alerted District 12's military that there is a coup underway, and Sejanus is in on it.
Yep.
So the rebels that were left alive and Sejanus get hung.
Yep.
And nobody ever finds out that Snow was the one who sold them out.
Yep. And Snow is there because he's a peacekeeper and he doesn't help his friend.
Yeah.
Another breadcrumb.
So now it's only Snow and Lucy left.
Yep.
And Lucy's like, I feel like I'm going to go down for this.
Yeah.
So she's like, I got to leave. Mm-hmm. I got to leave town. So Snow is like, fine.
Yeah.
I'll leave town with you.
Now, pause. I was reading on Reddit people's reactions. It was a Hunger Games subreddit, and I was curious of what people who had like read the books thought about the movie. And apparently in the book, Snow really struggled with leaving with her before he actually left. Now in the movie, it sounds like he just packed up his stuff, rides on out.
I can believe that.
In the book, he had more of a conflict of leaving because, as we can tell, he really wanted to go back to the Capitol.
So before leaving with her, agreeing to leave with her, he was given he was given notice that because, he's a star pupil, they were going to send him back to District 2 where he could work his way back up to District 1 a lot easier.
So he had to ponder. To leave town.
He had to ponder whether he really wanted to be back in District 1 because throughout the movie, throughout his time in
Capitol, I guess we should say.
Throughout his time in District 12, we get the sense of he does not like this lifestyle. He likes living, even poor. He would rather be poor, surrounded by the rich, than be poor, surrounded by people who are as poor as he is.
Exactly.
So he reluctantly leaves with her.
Yeah.
They go to the forest cabin where she has a secret hideout
with her little people,
with her other peoples.
Although at this point in the movie, it's just them two.
Mm-hmm. And she lets Snow know that, we gathered the guns up so they will never find out.
Well, she didn't know. She told him to go get some fishing rods to catch some food.
Well, she knew this, they were down there.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, because when he pulls them out, she's like, yeah, they're the guns.
Oh, okay.
So she's like, the guns are here. They'll never know that you were involved in the killings.
Right,
they'll never find out where the guns came from. We can just throw them in the lake.
Right.
And she's like, he makes the comment, no more loose ends. And she's like, oh, she jokes. She's like, oh, except for me, haha.
I don't know if she was joking. I think she looked at him like,
he was like,
I know too.
He was like, you wouldn't tell anybody. Well, she was like, of course not. So she's like, well, it's raining, so I'm going to have to go get some fish. And he's like, it's raining. Why are you leaving the cabin? She's like, I just got to go.
That's pretty much where you find out that this really not going to work at all.
She makes a run for it.
Pretty much. Yes. Not pretty much. That's exactly what she does.
He goes to dump the guns in the lake. Mm-hmm. He realizes that she makes a run for it.
Yep.
So he goes to look for her.
Yeah. And loses his little mind.
His little mind in the forest because he thinks he's found her. Mm-hmm. And he thinks he can hear her singing, but what he hears is the Mockingjays just repeating what she was
Her
singing,
songs and
her
stuff.
song earlier, which I feel like she did that deliberately.
And, well, a step before that, he finds the scarf he gave her that was his mother's, and underneath it is a snake. And that, I think that's what really sets him off.
Yeah.
Is that he finds her scarf, which that tells her she gone.
Yeah,
and
because
then there was a snake underneath that bit him, and he's pissed. Like, he is officially done with her. And want nothing to do with her no more.
Yeah. So she ghosts him. Mm-hmm. And that's what drives him crazy. Is the fact that he risked his entire life.
Tries to kill her when he thinks he sees her in the forest.
He does after he gets the snake madness in the forest.
Yeah.
So he turns nuts because she ghosts him after he risked his entire livelihood, lost it, came out here to get her.
Yep.
And
she didn't want to go and live.
When she realized that you're not only a murderer, but you also murder people that you call your best friend and people that call you their best friend, you'll absolutely murder me.
It was never going to work.
Especially if we're out here in the forest where there are no witnesses, you will murk me without a second thought.
And nobody else knows where we are.
Right. So she left him, and she was correct in doing so. Because she saved her own life.
Apparently in the book, they leave it a little more ambiguous to whether he actually kills her and she doesn't get away, or whether she runs off. And I don't know how they depicted that in the book, but the movie to me made it pretty straightforward that she ran off and went to go live her life without him.
So Snow takes his opportunity. Yeah. I'm going back to District 2. And work my way up. When he gets to the train, they're like, there's been a change of plans. You're going back to the Capitol. Yeah, and he's going back to the Capitol because Viola Davis, we find out that Viola Davis is like, this was all a test. And you passed it.
Congratulations.
You're back crazy. Here. You're back here. And that brings us to an earlier point in the movie when she asks him, what are the Hunger Games for? And he tells her early in the movie that the Hunger Games are to punish us for the war.
Yeah, to punish the districts.
And at the end of the movie, after she's like, all of this was a test, everything you went through. Now, again,
she's like Kang.
She's like, now I'm going to ask you again, what are the Hunger Games for? And he was like, I used to think the Hunger Games were for punishment for the districts for the war, but I now know that the Hunger Games are just to show us all who we really are.
Which is a callback to Viola Davis's character earlier, where she said humans need to be put in a place and shown who they really are, which is basically nothing but savages. Right. So they basically had a meeting of the minds by the end of the movie.
She kept reiterating the sentiment of, you see how people change when you pit them up against each other and tell them like
they're really just savages who want to kill and go at each other.
Right. And Snow's like, sweet.
Right. Sign me
Viola
up.
Davis is like, excellent. You've learned everything that you need to know. So you will be getting a full ride. You'll be getting a full ride to the Institute, and you will be working directly under me.
Not only did he get a full ride to the Institute, his friend that he killed, not Seamus, but Sejanus.
That he got killed.
He got killed. Parents paid for it because nobody knows that he was behind it.
So they offered to pay his tuition because he was such a good friend to their son before he died, not knowing that he got him killed.
I think in the book he inherits that family's.
He says it in the movie.
Oh.
He says it's Sejanus Plinth.
Yeah.
He's like, I am the heir to the Plinth throne.
Yeah. Okay. I missed that.
To the Plinth fortune.
Right, because I don't think they had any other kids.
His family is rich again.
Family back on top.
That's
a saying that he says. Snow always lands on top, which I actually thought was cool, even though he was crazy and a murderer. That little saying, I was like, oh, that's kind of fly. Yeah, I get it.
His family's rich again. His mom's dressed in the best
grandma
elder beerman that you can find.
Yes.
She's in the best of Lazarus fashions.
Right. His cousin, Tigress, feels a little conflicted, it looks like, into how things are going.
Because his cousin told him, your dad was awful. Even though I know you really admired your dad.
Saying it for real.
She's like, I know you really admired your dad and you wanted to be your dad and make him proud. He was like not a good guy. And at the end, she looks at him. She's like, you look exactly like your father. Yeah. You remind me exactly of your dad.
And it doesn't sound like a compliment.
Yeah. And he decides to poison Peter Dinklage for making his life awful.
Yeah.
Just because he didn't like his dad.
Yeah. Which, I mean, Peter Dinklage treating him like that was overkill, but him killing him was also... The man was obviously living and dying in his guilt anyway, so I don't know why he needed to go ahead and kill him. It's like, the man is miserable. Like, let grief take over, but he kills him too. So he kills like 4 people before he's 21.
Yeah.
perfect president for Hunger Games, I would say.
And after he kills Peter Dinklage, he's pretty much got a clear path in becoming
He got new clothes. He got new haircut. Face is clean, looking real nice and evil.
Yeah,
pretty much. At the end of the
and I'm
movie.
assuming at some point later on down the line, he also kills Viola Davis and takes her job too. Because why wouldn't he? Yeah. Exactly at this point.
I don't think they're making a sequel for this, which they don't need to. But I'm sure if there was a sequel, that's what it would have happened.
Yeah, and that's pretty much where the movie ends, where he's killed Peter Dinklage and he's assumed his position as the new soon-to-be game master and President Snow of Panem.
Right. Is there anything you would change about this movie? I would make it shorter.
The second half did not have to be as long to get the point across of,
right.
You know, he is not. The second half is them officially showing us he is not a good guy. I feel like the first half they show us he's a good guy because he's trying so hard to save Rachel Zegler, and that's a good thing to do.
But he's also a cheater.
It didn't take an hour and a half to show his descent into madness.
Yeah, it was just it was too much outside of the Hunger Games for me.
Anything else I would change? No. This movie didn't really have a lot of negatives outside of the length. I feel like there was a little bit of irresponsible use of sitting with the character in silence.
It was a touch too much singing.
Or watching them try to figure out what's going on in silence, but they're not talking to us, so we also don't know what's going on. So when Lucy runs away and leaves the shed, and he's like looking at the guns and looking back and looking at the guns and looking back, I'm like, what are you thinking about?
You want to go fish or going to go to the fact that girl gone?
It's clear that she made a break for her. Are you going to wait to chase her? Or are you going to...
Because the whole conversation of how he says, like, it's raining. You just said that you didn't want to go outside because it was raining. She's like, oh, I'm not sugar. I'm not going to melt. Like, girl, it's pouring outside.
Yeah.
You're obviously trying to get away. And you know she's trying to get away. Like, right. Let's speed this up. My favorite scene was a scene where Viola Davis and Snow's student partner or whatever she was, and she tries to take credit for the ideas that Snow came up with. And Viola Davis is like, oh, here's my fancy new colorful looking snakes. My snakes actually don't react to people if they have their scent, which we see how that helps Lucy Gray out later. But she tested it out on Snow's student friend first, and has her put her hand into the snake pit, and the snakes don't know her scent, obviously. So we don't know if she dies or not. Yeah.
So Snow is the one who wrote the proposal.
And she rips up the proposal and puts it in the snake pit. So they have his scent on the paper. Mm-hmm. But Viola Davis tells the girl, like, oh, you wrote this?
Yeah.
Go ahead and stick your hand in there to see if the snakes bite. Because if you did, then you should be good. Her dumb butt puts her hand in there because why not just tell the truth at that point? Mm-hmm. And she gets bit by a snake, and she ends up like foaming at the mouth because she falls back and falls down.
And looks paralyzed.
She looked like she ain't gonna make it, but they wheel her off, and we never hear from that girl again.
I think she's dead because he makes a reference later on when he's saving Sejanus in my favorite scene. He was like, she'll just kill you and say you died of the flu. And that's exactly what she said about the girl.
Say that.
When she got bit.
In the book, the girl lives. She just comes back disfigured or something.
That's terrible.
But in the movie, you literally never hear from the girl again.
My favorite scene is when they send Snow in to rescue Sejanus from after he sneaks into the Colosseum. Okay. They send Snow in. And I like the scene because it's dark. All the tributes are sleeping. So they haven't figured out yet that there are capital mentors inside the Coliseum, because the tributes are ready to kill everybody at this point.
Pretty much, a good number of them are dead.
Especially capital people, because they're capital people. So it was tense because he has to sneak in there around all of these sleeping tributes who are in the Coliseum. Yep. And he gets to Sejanus and he's like, Sejanus, we got to get you out of here. We got to go. And Sejanus was like, I was hoping they would send my mom to come get me. He was like, yeah, I wish that they sent
That
her.
was the funniest line in the movie.
Yeah,
for sure.
That was good. Sure. If you're a fan of Hunger Games, I would recommend this to you.
I would agree.
This is a solid entry into the Hunger Games franchise.
Yeah, I would. As somebody who didn't finish the first set of movies, I don't know if I would have saw this if we weren't doing this for the podcast, though. So,
also, if you like that young adult genre of sci-fi where it's like
kids are in a bunch of danger,
Maze Runner, and what was the knockoff Hunger Games with Shailene Woodley?
We just talked about that.
Divergent.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
If you're interested in that genre of movie, this definitely fits within
If
the realm.
you
It's one
like-
of the better ones of those.
If you like the other Hunger Games, I would see no reason why you wouldn't like this one.
Our rating, is it worth the theater? Yeah, it's worth the theater. I think it's a theater movie.
Yes, there it is.
Yes.
I was gonna say wait for streaming only because it felt a little long, but it is good on the big screen. I will give it that. It does look like a very, visually good movie. So
Yeah. It doesn't look like a streaming film.
go check it out. If anything, give it a discount Tuesday watch.
All right. So that is our review on The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. What are we doing next week?
Next week is Napoleon. It's also Thanksgiving. So a holiday, a movie, and recording all into one weekend.
You think that's bad? Wait until we have to do
We got 7
Comic-Con
months.
weekend.
We got 7 months to figure
and we
that
have to
whole
do
logistics out.
Comic-Con and recording and editing and see Deadpool.
When somebody said it, I was like, are they really putting these on the same weekend? Maybe it's the weekend, but I don't know. We'll have to look it up. But yes, next week we will be covering Napoleon. I don't know if I'm looking forward to this or not yet. Give me a week. It feels like it might be long.
Is there anything you're going to watch through the week?
I'm going to finish Castlevania.
Okay.
The first, whatever season I'm on now. And I'm going to start. No, I'm not going to catch up Invincible. That's a lie. I am going to watch Legacy of Monsters.
I'm not going to watch Invincible until the break.
Yeah, I remember.
Because it's only 4 episodes, and I can just binge 4 episodes.
Absolutely.
Of a show. 4 of an 8-episode season. I am going to watch Godzilla.
Yes, I am going to watch.
I keep calling it Godzilla. Monarch, Legacy of Monsters. But we all want to see
People knew what I
Godzilla.
was
I mean,
talking
Godzilla's like the king of monsters.
It's got good ratings. So
It's
I'm
got
feeling
really
about
good ratings, really good reviews, and word of mouth from like actual people who don't have like a shoe in the critic arena, who actually just like
They didn't get $50.
watch TV and don't
to
care
leave a
whether other
review on
people
Rotten
watch
Tomatoes.
it, like it or not.
Then kickback.
So Monarch Legacy of Monsters is looking real good. And I am going to watch Scavenger's Reign this week.
All right. So thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe either to your favorite podcast app or on the tube.
Mm-hmm.
You can reach us at vaguelynerdypodcast@gmail.com for any questions, comments, or suggestions. Thanksgiving next week is crazy.
Have a good holiday weekend.
Have a good turkey day. Make sure you have good dressing and good mac and cheese. Everything else don't matter. Not just playing.
Yeah.
See ya.